Chris, were you surprised that Luke Richardson was fired yesterday, buddy? And thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to jump on for this, but yeah, the timing, I guess, at the timing, yes, with, holidays and the Winter Classic coming up and all that stuff. But again, you're in a business where it's about winning and losing, and you've seen so many coaches, and I'll just name a few: Montgomery, Paul Maurice was without a job for a while, Cassidy, all great coaches, but at some point the message isn't being delivered, or the players aren't, there's no connection, and it's time to move on. And Blackhawks management felt this was the time. Obviously with the struggles of Bedard and the team and what's happening, there's always a change. And last summer they made a commitment to signing a few free agents, and it looked like that would help bolster this, youth movement or development of this team, and it didn't. So unfortunately for Luke, it's easier to get rid of a coach than it is a bunch of players. And, for the time being, we'll see what happens.
How much of it had to do with the constant changing of the line mates for Connor Bedard? And do you think that also contributed to maybe why Bedard has struggled at times this year?
Yeah, well, there's no question. You're looking for some chemistry. As of recent, Hall, Luke sat Hall about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and it seemed to have a little bit of effect on Hall. And then he did stick him with Connor, and they don't have the chemistry they were hoping for, especially defensively. You got two centermen out there, and I got a chance actually to watch the last two games because I was doing some of the TV, and there's no question they struggled defensively. What's crazy is their power play is doing pretty well. They scored 3 power play goals one game and didn't win the game. So, things just aren't going right. But, the last couple of games, you got to play defense first. They got up against Pasternak and Marchand's line, and there was a difference in the game. And it's just, those are things that, of course, the coach has got to implement the systems and get some structure and get them to listen. But that just hasn't been the case. So, it falls on the players. And let's be honest, that he doesn't have a lot to work. He didn't have a lot to work with Luke, and everybody knows that because of the youth on this team. But again, it's sad, but it's just something had to be done. And you've seen so many times when there is a coaching change that immediately there's a little reaction from the players because they put the onus on themselves, somewhat like what the Bears are going through also. So let's just see what happens with the hiring of Anders Sorensen and see if the players but they got to play hard. They're too easy to play against, and that's obvious.
Chris, do you believe that the promotion of Anders Sorensen is really he's coming up from the Rockford IceHogs? Is that really a promotion of some of the young players too? Does that mean that he will be here and then he will be bringing guys up with him as the year's going on? Am I reaching on that one? And by the way, he's like the first Swedish-born coach in NHL history. That seems crazy. I mean, there are a lot of great Swedish players, good Swedish hockey. I can't believe he's the first Swedish-born coach. That seems weird.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, he's probably obviously paid his dues down in the AHL. It's very similar to a situation where the coach, I was in Grand Rapids for a couple of years coaching, and Jeff Blashill was down there, and he had a really good connection with young players. And they ended up winning the Calder Cup down there. And then when it was time for them to replace their head coach, he replaced, the Red Wings head coach and had a really good rapport with the younger players. So there is something to be said for that with these guys coming up. The defenseman from Michigan State, Leshuzhin, I say his name wrong every time. But, yeah, maybe that's got something to do with it. And he's had a good rapport with them. I watched Rockford beat somebody 6-3 the other night. It was on TV. So that could be exactly, you hit the nail right in the head. That could be it, his relationship. And some of these guys that have been down in Rockford, Mikhailov, I like this kid, Kurashev, what's his name? The other left winger's been down there up and down a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm brain dead right now. But the other left winger, the little guy who's playing on the fourth line with Maroon right now, they've been switching around so much. But so, yeah, maybe that is exactly the point, that he's had these relationships with these young kids, and he does well with them.
Thanks, Chelly. Appreciate your insight.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, you guys. You bet. Take care.
That is Chris Chelios. What a good man.
Anders Sorensen has a chance to make an impact if the rest of the season, 2/3 of the season left, to make a case for him being the permanent guy. We'll see.